And welcome back to Live Impact News, where the press conference that we were actually referencing earlier regarding birthright citizenship is about to begin again, featuring a House Democratic caucus. Now, this decision came down once again from the Supreme Court earlier today, upholding birthright citizenship. The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, guarantees birthright citizenship. It was challenged by an executive order from President Trump that he signed on the first day of his second term, in which he declared that kids born to parents illegally or temporarily in the U.S. are not U.S. citizens. That has been struck down by the Supreme Court as they uphold birthright citizenship. Let's go live out to Washington, D.C. for this press conference.
Ruled in his favor even at the height of the Chinese Exclusion Act, because the 14th Amendment is abundantly clear. All persons born in the United States means all persons.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
It is because of people like him and the generations of Black Americans who fought to secure their rights through the 14th Amendment that I, the daughter of immigrants, could become a citizen by birthright and serve in the halls of Congress.
Yay.
It is how millions of Asian Americans, 65% of whom are foreign-born, more than any other ethnic group, could pursue the American dream. So as we celebrate today's ruling, I have a message for President Trump. You may believe you are above the law. You are not. You may try to divide Americans based on race, religion, or their country of origin, and you will fail. You may try to redefine what it means to be an American, and you will fail. We are American. We belong here. And no wannabe king will ever take that away from us.
Yeah.
I want to give a special shout out to the ACLU, Co-Counsel's Asian Law Caucus, Legal Defense Fund, Democracy Defenders Fund, the House Litigation Task Force, and all the advocates here today who fought to defend our fundamental rights and close Immigrant Heritage Month with this victory. With that, I'd like to hand the mic over to our fearless leader, Chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, Adriano Espaillat.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Grace, thank you. What you see behind this podium is the faces of America. The different faces of the tapestry that is called the United States of America. An experiment of elastic values that stretches in many directions and many ways. That is what you see right here behind this podium. Who America is. And today the Constitution won. The American people won. As part and chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, we were happy to be part of this lawsuit. As friends of the court, we came in to make our statement felt in the highest court of the land. An unequivocal statement, an American statement, that we will not be held to a different standard, that our children that are born here are U.S. born children, irregardless of our status, and that we belong and we deserve to have all the rights and privileges extended to all Americans by the U.S. Constitution. Trump tried to erase one of our nation's clearest constitutional guarantee, and he failed. We won, and he failed. We're right, and he's wrong. Birthright citizenship is protected, is shielded by the 14th Amendment and by the sacred document called the Constitution. No president has the power, to decide who an American is. The Constitution states it, and it does it in a very transparent and clear way. As MAGA extremists push a dangerous and divisive vision rooted in fear and exclusion, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus stands united to defend our Constitution, everybody's Constitution, your Constitution, yours and yours, all of us. We are the owners of that document, the Constitution, an elastic document that will stretch to include everybody. And so we will continue to stand united to defend that document, protect our freedoms, and fight for America, for every child, so that every child has the opportunity to achieve the American dream. Hoy ganó la Constitución y ganó el pueblo americano. Donald Trump intentó de eliminar una de las garantías más sagradas, más importantes de nuestra Constitución y fue derrotado, fracasó. La ciudadanía por nacimiento es protegida por la 14 enmienda de la Constitución y ningún presidente tiene el derecho a eliminar esa gran garantía para todos nuestros hijos. Mientras los extremistas de MAGA impulsaron una agenda basada en el miedo, el caucus hispano se lanzó adelante de nuevo y a través de un litigio se unió a esta acción legal como amigos de la Corte para que este fallo fuera hoy un éxito. Le doy la gracia a los miembros del caucus. Yo creo que de muchas maneras nosotros le hemos enseñado a este pueblo, a esta ciudad, cómo pelear a favor de los emigrantes, porque nosotros somos emigrantes también y nunca vamos a olvidar eso. Gracias. With that, I introduce Congressman Troy Carter. Sorry.
All right.
And then you.
Thank you very much. I am Congressman Troy Carter, representing the great state of Louisiana, the first vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. I want to thank my colleagues in the House Democratic Caucus for their presence and their leadership here today, for the congressional team of caucuses that you see here today, standing in unison, recognizing the importance of this day and this victory. The 14th Amendment was written into the Constitution during Reconstruction to ensure that no one could deny or question the citizenship of formerly enslaved Americans because of their race. Today, more than 150 years later, that constitutional guarantee has withstood Donald Trump's unconstitutional assault on one of our nation's most fundamental promises. The history and the gravity of this moment should not be lost on any of us. The fact that we've arrived at a moment where an American president would attempt to unilaterally strip Americans of their constitutional birthright is in itself a warning to all of us today, you tomorrow, and who may be next. It reminds us that our rights cannot be taken for granted. Donald Trump's effort to end birthright citizenship was an attempt to unravel one of the Constitution's clearest guarantees, that citizenship is a constitutional right, not a privilege that any president can give or revoke. While that shameful effort has failed, we're under no illusion that Donald Trump and his allies will stop attacking our fundamental freedoms, our diversity, and the constitutional rights of the American people. Nor are we under any illusion that the role of the Supreme Court has chosen to play, not one of being the arbiter of interpreting the law, but one that is succumbing to the pressures of a president who simply wants his way. As we've seen here in this term, from the Calais decision to temporary protected status to upholding discriminatory anti-transgender sports ban, the Roberts Court has repeatedly rolled back hard-fought progress while expanding presidential power at the expense of the rights of everyday Americans. We know what we're up against, and the House Democrats are not backing down. Every inch of progress in this country has been hard-fought, won through struggle, through resistance, and through courage of people this nation too often tried to leave behind. We will not stand by while our progress is dismantled. This battle is not over. This battle will not be over because we will continue to fight and we will not quit. Make no mistake about it. Today's victory does not mark the end of this fight. It marks the beginning of the next one. The American people deserve a judiciary that is independent, accountable, and committed to equal justice under the law, not one that repeatedly expands unchecked presidential power while narrowing the rights and freedoms of the people. House Democrats will continue fighting for meaningful Supreme Court reform, including term limits and stronger ethics and accountability measures that restore public trust in this Constitution. As was said, our Constitution, your Constitution, your Constitution. The Constitution does not belong to any president. It belongs to the American people.
That's right. The bottom line.
Because the stakes of this court are far beyond the actions of these justices. They reach the very heart of our democracy, to whether we will keep faith in our highest ideals, that the Constitution protects every American equally, and that no president, no court is above it. House Democrats will do everything in our power to ensure that these promises are kept. Next, I will bring to the podium the chairman of the Hispanic caucus, of the Progressive Caucus, Greg Casar.
All right, we're welcoming you back into the studio here on Live Impact News after listening in on that live press conference featuring House Democratic leaders talking about the Supreme Court upholding birthright citizenship in a landmark decision this morning. Birthright citizenship, of course, guaranteed by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution and was challenged by President Trump in an executive order that he signed on his first day in office. It was one of the core tenets of his campaign, of which immigration enforcement was a major part and has continued to be a major part throughout his second term in the White House. But on this day, the Supreme Court upholding birthright citizenship, of course, this comes not long after the Supreme Court struck down temporary protected status for migrants from certain nations that were considered to be too dangerous to go back to. So there are some wins for President Trump's immigration agenda within the Supreme Court's decisions that have come over the last few weeks. And then, of course, today, this would be considered maybe a loss for that immigration agenda for President Trump, as again, every court that has heard this challenge has said that the challenge was unconstitutional due to that 14th Amendment. And another note, another important piece of context to include there are 255,000 babies born each year to non-citizen parents. Now, for us here on Live Impact News, we're going to go to a commercial break. We've heard from some national lawmakers here from the U.S. House of Representatives. When we get back, we'll hear from President Trump, his reaction to this decision by the Supreme Court, as well as some local lawmakers and organizations from right here in Virginia. That's after the break. All right, welcome back to Live Impact News here on the 13 News Now app. 1:35 p.m. We continue with reaction to some of those major decisions that have come down from the Supreme Court today. We're sticking first with birthright citizenship, the Supreme Court upholding birthright citizenship against the challenge of an executive order from President Donald Trump. Let's look at President Trump's reaction on Truth Social this morning. The Supreme Court upheld birthright citizenship, which is too bad for our country, but we can easily make it up in Congress through legislation with the support of the president that has now been determined during this process. No long and unwieldy constitutional amendment is necessary. Congress should start today to work on ending expensive and unfair to our country birthright citizenship. They will have my complete and total support, President Donald J. Trump. So President Trump now looking to Congress to potentially enact the policy that has been denied by the Supreme Court. And again, it is a policy that was ratified in the Constitution in 1868, guaranteeing birthright citizenship. How about Lieutenant Governor Ghazala Hashmi of Virginia? Quote, today's decision is rooted in fear. I apologize, Sarah. is that here we go. I got the I have it right here. We're getting multiple reactions from lawmakers to multiple different Supreme Court rulings here. Let's once again go with Ghazala Hashmi, the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. Today's decision reaffirms one of the most fundamental promises of the 14th Amendment, that every child born in the United States is a citizen regardless of their parents' immigration status. This ruling upholds our Constitution, protects countless families from fear and uncertainty, and affirms that citizenship is not a partisan tool. That is Lieutenant Governor Ghazala Hashmi with that reaction right there. How about reaction from LULAC? Now, LULAC applauding this Supreme Court decision as well. The Supreme Court today struck down an executive order that sought to deny automatic citizenship to certain children born on United States soil, affirming that the 14th Amendment guarantees citizenship to all persons born in this country. This decision confirms a truth that generations of Americans have lived by. A child born on this soil is a citizen of this nation. That's according to Roman Palomares, the national president and chairman of the board of LULAC. Quote, "The court has made clear that no president can override the Constitution by decree. LULAC views the ruling as a reaffirmation of the principle that this country creates no permanent class of outsiders and that the promise of citizenship belongs equally to every child born within its borders. For the families whose futures hung in the balance, today's decision restores certainty and peace of mind." LULAC encourages every member and supporter to share this news widely and to stand with the families whose rights were secured today. LULAC, of course, stands for the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC as we will call it by a shorthand. So